Good day, good day, good day. And I would like to welcome each and every one of you to another entry of All for Success with an X, because every now and then I'll throw in just a little bit extra. So let's take a few seconds. We're going to pause a little bit as we let people sign in who might want to sign in. And I will always throw up these opportunities as we get started to welcome you guys to the chat and tell everyone you know that they need to join this chat because, well, why not? And of course, it would be great for me to get my numbers up even higher. I would love that. I do wonder sometimes how these folks start a channel and then they have 20, 30,000 people viewing immediately, but it's amazing. Also, I'll give you an opportunity if you haven't, try to subscribe, like, and join. Because here's the cool thing, if you subscribe and you hit the notifications, although you may have to do that often, it gives you the opportunity of seeing some of my little flash notes when they come up, and then you'll see that on your YouTube feed. And it gives you a chance to say, oh, wow, she might be doing a channel or a live, or there's something here I want to read. So please like, share, subscribe. Let's not forget that. So that's all of the welcoming and homecoming for people coming in to offer success. I would like to tell you this is a Sussex friendly space. It is not only the discussions of Sussex family, however, it is a friendly space, as friendly as can be. I try to come to all of these discussions from a perspective of a mother of adult children, i.e., grandma. And I like to talk about things that I see and I observe, what they might mean in their world and the things that they are navigating, right? For those of us who have children who are adults, it is still a wonderful interaction. It's not like interacting with toddlers, but it is still the same things that you want out of life for them. You want success, you want them to be happy, and you want them to pursue the things in life that they find valuable. And then you want them to succeed in the way that they determine their success to be, right? So let's keep all of that in mind. Now, if you have time, you can either walk or do errands while I'm on the chat, or you can sit down, make yourself a cup of coffee, put your feet up, and relax before you have to run out this morning and do all of those errands that we usually have to do on Saturday. So I'm hoping that you get to sit down and relax and have some coffee. Because if you did what you were supposed to do, you would have put all your exercise time in earlier this week. Am I right? All right. So let's get ready to get started and have some fun here. And let's see what I got on the next panel. So, on the next panel, remember, if you're not excited about exercise, but you want to work out a little bit, just get started in any way you can. And then here, drop in the chat below some of the things that you may have done to get your fitness journey going. I usually mention that I've walked on the week or if I made it to the gym, and I would love to hear from you what you are doing to pursue your fitness journey. A lot of people like yoga, so if you get a chance to do that or stretching of any kind, let us know how you're moving along in that space. And also, if you want to give us some tips, like I said, I'm dealing with this topic from the point of view of mothers of adult children. So at our age, we definitely need to keep moving in order to stay motivated. A lot of people think that these two things don't match, but it is truly true. And you, of course, can figure that out as you get older, that the more you move, then the better you will be able to move. It's amazing. So let's keep that in mind also. All right, so I'm going to see if I can grab my slides and get those set. While I'm thinking about it, I just wanted to point out that I spend quite a bit of time on YouTube, and I'm always listening to the chatter from other people and some of the things that they are covering in their chats. And I was listening to some people earlier this morning talking about some of the things that Harry and Meghan are facing. And it is amazing to me. It truly, truly is amazing to me that there is always this slant in the media or in these talking heads, which actually I would be very similar to. But there is always this need to point out that Harry and Meghan are doing several things, and let's go down how they look at it. They're often disparaged because they are using, and I'm going to capitalize the word using, they are using their connection to the royal family to capitalize in some way. It really grinds my gears when I hear that statement come from anyone. It's as if Harry would somehow become someone else, right? Like it would be this awareness that when Harry is proceeding in a cause, or if he's supporting a charity, or if he's on television even passing someone a beer, as if he could actually be someone other than Harry of Windsor. And so it really irritates me that they throw this statement out and they try to put as much venom behind it as possible. Harry and Meghan are using their connections to the royal family. Okay? And here's the thing, Harry and Meghan at this point are a global industry by themselves. They could walk out in the world and they could be advertised as Harry and Meghan, and that is all they need. They at no time ever need to mention any name of any royal family member. They don't even have to bring up the fact that they know that there is even a country across the Atlantic. But yet and still, this theme still keeps getting pushed out there. They are using their connections. And I am really irritated by it because I understand that is definitely what? A media tactic. And that tactic gets placed in the mouths of other personalities like UK TV tabloid. It's also placed in the mouths of the average everyday YouTuber. You'll hear them say things like that. Harry and Meghan are using their connections because they're told to say this, and they just regurgitate this message. Another thing that they do that I hear often, once this gentleman who was working with the company of Spotify, who was a CEO, and I don't know why, but I didn't write his name down on anything. But this Spotify CEO used the term grifters, that Oh, I'll tell you all about my talk with Harry and Meghan. Wow, what grifters. Okay. So this term is also very prolific amongst anyone who has been a con man, right? Individuals who would go about the world and try to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, grifter. Someone who tries to convince you of various enterprises so that they can take your money. Who comes to mind in my world is Bernie Madoff. He was a famous investor, a famous investment banker who got a lot of people's money, said he was investing your money, told people that they were making more money. But of course, when the final spreadsheet came out, he had spent their money on all sorts of things. But the term grifter, so this mentality that Harry and Meghan have no other means of employment except to go to other people and swindle them out of their money. Now, let's understand again, media tactic. This is what they want you to believe, that they are going around in the world and snatching money out of people's hands and making them believe in a lot of things and somehow taking their money. Isn't it interesting that this is the description by the media of Harry and Meghan when their entire industry is based on telling you stories and you pay for it? Let's think that through. Let that sink in. So here are these personalities and hundreds of them sitting at a desk type setting with a beautiful background. Of course, there's always a spinning wheel in the corner. And their entire purpose, without doing any hard labor, right? They haven't gone out and mowed a lawn. They haven't had to go clean windows. They didn't have to do any bricklaying. They just sit there and they tell you what they think about Harry and Meghan and how much they have venom for Harry and Meghan. But they do all of this and print it on papers that people pay for. And yet, Harry and Meghan are called grifters. So explain that to me. Talk about a con job. You would absolutely have to have fallen for a con job if you feel that you should give money to people who give you their opinion based on zero facts, based on zero investigation. In other words, the individual sitting there just yapping into the camera, they have not done an ounce of labor. However, we are supposed to instead believe Harry and Meghan are the grifting con men. Again, as if Harry and Meghan are not employed. All right, and I'll get to that in a moment. Then, of course, there's always the pitch. One of them or both of them are taking a private jet, right? There's this also dump of into the UK media tabloid space. We're always supposed to be aware that Harry flew on a private jet. Somehow we're supposed to be angry about that, right? We're supposed to be angry that a person who can afford financially or based on their relationships, they can fly on a private jet or they can fly first class or they could go by ship if they wanted to, or they could drive their own vehicle if they so choose. But for whatever reason, when it comes to Harry and Meghan, once again, the UK tabloid media machine tells us you're supposed to be angry about it. You're supposed to be mad. I'm supposed to be mad. But am I angry that Jeff Bezos flies on a private jet? No. Elon Musk? No, we don't bring it up. What about the president? How dare he fly around on Air Force One, which is a private jet? Or how about the prime minister in the UK? Should he ever have anywhere to go? Right? But anyone else, right, can fly wherever they need to fly. But when Harry flies, we have to announce it to the world. It is the beginning of the sentence. Instead of the topic, Harry, he did a lot of announcements talking about the Well Child Award. Oh, no, we can't just say that. We have to begin with, he flew into wherever on a private jet. And then he made an announcement about the Well Child Award. That's secondary. And the issue is, it's the Well Child Awards that is truly the intent of his conversation. That is truly where the focus should be. But the UK tabloid media, they are professionals at keeping the entire world focused on nothing and absolutely forgetting and putting up fog and smoke in front of the actual causes that Harry and Meghan champion. They try their best even to cloud the smoke-filled room with Invictus. They spent more time talking about whether or not Meghan and Michael Bublé's wife are friends or not. They spent more time talking about whether or not the ceremony at Invictus had wounded warriors at it. Right? Because he's there to promote and talk about the Invictus Games, see how things are coming along. He's looking at how things are being put in progress. But they couldn't talk about that. They didn't even talk about that. They didn't even mention the significance of the 4 Native American tribes and their input to the Invictus Games. Do you realize there has not even been an interview with the Native American tribes about the work that they do with the Invictus teams? What is their impact in that area of having Invictus Games on their land? This is what the UK tabloid media does, the tactics. Spread garbage all over anything Harry and Meghan do, spread trash all over it. And then you and I and people like us, we become incensed and we become directed to respond or react to their absolute nonsense. But instead, here's what I'm going to say. We need to stay focused. We need to stay focused and keep our interest on the things that are truly interesting. At this time, for example, I am actually looking up who the originating Native American tribes are in that region, because I didn't realize there were 4 tribes there, right? And it's funny because I'm from the US, so I'm familiar with some of the major Native American tribes here in the United States. Like, we all have heard the names: Cherokee, Seminole, Apache, Navajo. Some of the major tribes here we are very much aware of, and their impact in many, many things and aspects of our lives. There's not a person here in the United States that can drive through a town and not notice that there's a street or two named with an actual name from a Native American tribe, right? Somewhere along the road, you're going to find Apache Lane or Cherokee Drive. It just depends on where you live. So I am fascinated by the Native American tribes that are involved with the Invictus Games. I'm not saying everyone else should be, but it's just interesting to me that that is not the focus, right? Invictus alone is a phenomenal a phenomenal accomplishment. But all of the things that go into getting that together is also very interesting if you have an interest. So I think that's interesting. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to have to look into that. But the UK tabloid media, no, they're concerned about whether he took a private jet or whether he is wearing something expensive or whether or not Meghan has a new stylist. This is their news. And when, again, you talk about a con job, you need to ask yourself, why in the world would people in the UK pull dollars, pounds out of their pocket to pay for that trash rag and read it? Why would you even, if when you see the stories online, the heading alone is enough to make you aware that there is not going to be any story discussed in this topic, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there as far as media tactics. So let's keep your eyes open, pay very close attention because it's such total nonsense. And so the more people that are aware of it, the better. And I tell you what, every now and then when I've got nothing to do, I can't help myself but make comments in other people's YouTube feeds or Twitter feeds when they make a statement that begins with either an insult or name calling, but they did not discuss any particular subject. And I know I'm not supposed to be caught up in that, but I can't help myself, okay? So that's what I do from time to time. I call that me giving back, trying to help people come out of the con job space. Okay. So let's take a quick pause, a quick moment here again. Let me remind you one more time that I would like for all of you, if you can, to make sure that you like, share, please like and share, and subscribe. I love it when you hit the like buttons. It's great for me to get to count that up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got more than 5 likes. It's so exciting. So I want you guys to keep hitting the like button so that I feel like I've got friends all over the world, okay? And definitely comment and keep us aware of some of your thoughts as we go along. And I'm going to take just a short moment here. Let's see who's here and what some of the quick comments are before I look at a few more slides. So let's see. All right. So I said, welcome to everyone. I want to say welcome. All right. So Keen for Concepts has shopped in and said that they did do a workout. Okay. I'm glad to know that. And it says that I'm going to assume you meant walked each day. Thank you. A mile, that's good. You know, it's great. Any distance is a good distance. It gets you out there. You get to stretch your legs. That's what you want. That is definitely what you want. Good morning to Joyce Anderson. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm trying for thoughtfulness. I'm trying to be thoughtful. At moments, I do slip off the edge. So I'm trying to be more, like I said, on the thoughtful, more positive tune, even though we're watching and keeping an eye out for what's happening. I want to give my take, and I really love the feedback that you all give me because it makes me aware that there are people who are thinking some of the things that I think. Many years ago, there was a show hosted by Arsenio Hall, and when things were happening in the news, he had this statement or this little skit, and he would say things that make you go, in other words, thoughts that might cross your mind and make you say, that something about that doesn't sound right, or we need to dig into it. But that's my take on much of what we see happening nowadays. All right, and say good morning to, hopefully I pronounced this correctly. Let's try, Raffaella Bertoni. So good day to you. Thank you so much for being here. I love it when you guys hang out with me in the morning before you get in on all of your hard chores. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I am so glad that you were able to make it. It's great. So let's see. We also have Kathy Gabby. She tuned in and spot on. You thank you. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. As I grow in this space, I see things even on a daily basis, even though I'm only usually broadcasting once a week. It's quite funny to me how fast so many other people make quick comments and they analyze the data pretty fast. I tend to wait until I see kind of what I call a pattern. And then I have more of a reaction to the overall pattern. And hopefully we can then track it from that point forward. So thank you so much, Kathy Gabby, for also tuning in this morning. I appreciate it. All righty. So that's the folks always trying to track and dig off in to what Harry and Meghan are doing with their money. And perhaps what they should do is pay attention to what they're doing to their money, because if there is a grift, if there is a con, and if there is my favorite new term, a money grab, it's certainly not coming from the two individuals who are employed and are actually earning a living. Perhaps you should be more concerned with being grifted by, grifted on. Perhaps the UK, the people of the UK should pay more attention to the money grab from the UK tabloid media space, the money grab and grift from the royal family institutional perspective, right? Maybe they should pay more attention to the grift grab from the royal family members that own millions of pieces of real estate, right? Perhaps they should give their attention to the money grab that came in the form of payouts from the media to, let's say, Prince William, or the money grab that came in the form of bags of cash from members of the Saudi households, right? So, I mean, don't let me get bent out of shape about this. But yet and still, whenever you flip to any of these YouTube spaces or you're listening to these UK tabloid spaces, it's always associated with Harry and Meghan as if they didn't earn their money, right? Harry wrote his book, right? Meghan stomped the grounds of auditions to become an actress, right? You have to go to classes. You have to study that art. You have to move around. And then she volunteered and worked for the UN. She had a job. So I am really irritated when these non-working personalities are always pointing at someone else talking about grifting and money grabbing on behalf of the greatest colonial grift, con, and theft on this planet. But I digress. So let's go to the slides. Don't forget, folks, to check in every now and then on Sussex.com. As they start to fill up these spaces, they'll probably let us know a lot of the activities and things that will be happening. And these are the things that are more related to various actual, what I would call Harry and Meghan industries, right? More so than their charity work, okay? So just keep your eyes on that space. It'll be fun. So let's take it back a moment, because I promise I won't keep you all here all night. Let's take it back. Let's look at the week over. Let's look at the week in review. Okay, because again, I'm only here once a week right now. So let's review the week. Well, what did we have? What we had was an event called the Memorial for the passing of the king of Greece. It would appear that he actually died, I think, a year ago. And so this was like a remembrance ceremony where dignitaries, even from Greece and Italy, and I believe there was even some representatives from other areas like Jordan, um, their families came to attend a service in honor and in memory of who would have been considered the last king in Greece. Now, in the 70s, Greece went through a terrific upheaval. They also had a royal family structure, very similar to the British family. However, due to various conflicts, I'm going to even say Civil War level situations, changes in government, Greece decided we're not doing monarchs anymore. And you also have to be aware that in many of these countries, the interaction of the monarchs with perhaps the people who are in industry or money movements, oftentimes there was a great deal of corruption, at least perceived, around many of these issues. Greece was notorious for being an area where people were not tracking government spending in a very competent and efficient way. And so there were lots and lots of situations that occurred where the money, the poverty it was rising on one side very high for the rich and the wealthy, and the poverty was rising very rich and exponentially on the other side. And this led to some serious unrest. Well, they decided they had had enough of the monarchy. And so it is at this time they basically disbanded any what I would call veneration slash worship of their royal family structure. So the king at that time and all of the royal family, most of these folks took off and ran. Most of them got out of there. I believe the king himself had actually been living, if I'm not mistaken, in the UK since that time. But he was effectively the last king of Greece. And I'm sure many of you who watched The Crown, I hope you did at some point, especially the earlier seasons. There is a scene or two that actually referenced one of his relatives, and I believe it was his sister actually, who had remained in Greece. She did not leave during the uprising. It was like a basically, like I say, civil unrest. And this sister did not leave. And the reason was she had actually become a nun and was living in a convent. And she remained in this convent where they were taking care of the children who were struggling or the poor and the destitute. She was very much in the mindset of the Mother Teresa mentality, so it would seem, helping the poor. And so she had remained, and for many years, they had assumed she had been killed. But they found out later that no, in fact, she was alive. And the only reason they ran into her, at least what was depicted on The Crown, which was really entertaining, on the show, you see a nun who realizes that the convent that she's staying in, the school, has maybe a leaking roof and they can't afford to fix it. And you track or you follow this situation where this nun pawns a piece of jewelry that she had, right? Well, of course, she's a nun, so she wasn't like wearing jewelry, but she still had a piece of jewelry in her possession. And she went to a pawn shop to pawn it to get the money to fix and repair the roof. And what was intriguing is the person who received it or where it was pawned, they realized the value and they understood its history and they were astonished. And they were like, well, who in the world would have had this? How did someone get this? It would be a very much equivalent to someone having like the presidential seal in their pocket. It's like, well, why would you have that if you weren't ever the president? But so yeah, so anyway, in the movie itself, they actually tracked it back and realized that the person who pawned it was actually the queen, either a queen or the sister of, and she was a royal family lineage. And then at that point, she was very, very elderly and getting sick, and so they did move her back to the UK for a while. But anyway, it's a fascinating way that they presented it in The Crown. I do not know all the historical details, but it is fascinating. So anyway, again, y'all let me run off the rails. So it's the king of Greece who had passed, and this was his memorial. Now, I'm noticing, and I put this note up here because these are some of the photos as folks were walking towards the memorial ceremony. And if you notice, I pulled a couple off of the web because the earlier photo, if you see, that's should be on your right. Prince Andrew is kind of in the lead. He's up front, and his wife, Sarah Ferguson, ex-wife, is right there kind of in the front of the procession. Well, this was horrifying to the UK tabloid press because they never expected Prince Andrew to be so out in front. But there he is. Now, would that have happened if your entire royal family were intact? That the king were intact, Harry and Meghan were still here, Prince William and Kate were together and nobody was sick? That this would not be the picture that you see. But due to these current circumstances, this is what happened. So the UK media was in an absolute frenzy and totally embarrassed because now this is what your royal family procession looks like, right? However, I did notice that later in the week, the picture on the left, you start to see more cropped photos where he is conspicuously reduced in presence, because this is a photo actually of the other families as they were coming down to the procession, because they just didn't want to even show. They don't want to have that all over the web showing that Prince Andrew was front and center, and he may as well have been. I mean, after all, this is where things have gone. Now, here's the story of the week. It is this memorial that your prince, soon to be king, crown prince, was supposed to speak and give a recitation, I would say, or a scripture reading in honor of his passing godfather. However, he couldn't make it. And I'm sure you have all heard the stories. He couldn't make it because it was personal. All right. So everyone is now speculating on what in the world would that mean. Now, from our point of view, we all know what this would have looked like were it Harry and Meghan, right? It would have been the worst story to hit the papers for all times. And for a change, just though they slipped up, for a change, they were actually irritated at the fact that Prince William did not make it. Now, this was quick. It was maybe over a day or two before they quickly got back in line to say, well, it's personal. He said it was personal, and we just have to deal with that. But for a moment, it was irritating to some of the press. He needs to explain why he wasn't there, they said, right? We need to know what's going on, some of them clamored, right? And then others of them were quick to say, well, maybe he can handle things that is personal, but it gives us a bad picture, right? Because that bad picture resulted in Prince Andrew being front and center. And of course, who is the lead character in this show for the week? Queen Camilla. All right. So all of that mess, all of the twisting and turning that these people in the royal family firm have done over the past 50 years to try and control the entire scenario, everything that they have done to try and twist and bend people into their subjection. And we do not know who is the actual power in the royal firm, but it seems to be old men who are angry and cruel, right? They're just angry first, cruel second, and they make all of their decisions from that place. It is very obvious that they do not have any concern with the well-being of the persons that they are dealing with. That for them, the monarchy is a prop, right? Because again, when you want to use the word grift and you want to use the word con, that is what royal families are. Long gone are the days where a king and his family members suited up, grabbed swords, and went out to fight for your freedom. Those days are gone. So today, it is simply a front and a social club presented to keep you busy talking about other things while you do not understand, see, or by any means, you're not even following how much money and what resources are being extracted from you. Okay? But that's where they are in the UK these days. So this picture right here is as much, may not be the future of the monarchy, but it's definitely a picture of the present, right? That's what it is. So let's go over what was happening here. And of course, I know you guys are following all of the stories that are linked around this. So we also had, to go along with this, and I'll get back to that as well. Let me skip by that one. I'm going to drift over here to this timeline again. So we're back to another timeline. So early in February, right? We're here for the Invictus Games. That's 14 to 16 February. Now, right after that, an actual death occurred, but, well, it wasn't mentioned. That was on a Sunday. It wasn't mentioned at all. So 2 days later, we have this memorial service here for the King of Greece. And it is after this memorial service that all of a sudden it's announced that this death had occurred on the 25th of February, 2 days before. It just happened to be that a gentleman named Thomas Kingston, who happens to be married to Lady Gabriella of Windsor. Now, Lady Gabriella, for those of you who might not be following all of these details, she is the daughter of the Duke and Duchess of Kent. And that would be my young lady, my girl, who was wearing the blackamoor brooch. She's from that family, her mom and dad. So this is her husband that died on Sunday. So the first time they mentioned it, they said, oh, he just died. Now, this is right after the King's Memorial. Side note, Prince William did not attend for a personal matter. Announcement, Thomas Kingston was dead. Appears he just died. A little bit later, head wound. A little bit later, a gun was found nearby. Let's let all that sink in, right? Possible suicide. Okay. So let's go over that one more time. One more time. Person dies on Sunday, 25th. No announcement. 2 days later, King's Memorial. Prince William can't attend, personal matter. Later that day, announcement, Thomas Kingston had died. Possible head wound. Well, I'm sorry, head wound. Gun nearby. Oh, and I forgot to add, possible suicide. investigation underway. And the reason is because when they originally announced it, it was nothing suspicious. Right. So let's think that through. All right. Then almost immediately, next day, UK tabloid media talk TV heads are shouting out, well, but William not being at the service had nothing to do with the death of Thomas Kingston. And the question then went through everybody like wildfire. Did anybody say it did? Right? So now we've got intrigue. Now you've got added intrigue and added drama. And now we do not know what in the world is wrong with the UK media. They are all over the place. They don't know whether to be investigative. They don't know whether to ask questions. They don't know what to do or say, and they are everywhere at once. But to all of us watching and looking at this, I go back to the beginning. It's things that make you go, right? Because you can feel it, that whatever this is, that in the old days, they probably would have expected the lid to stay on this. But we are in a completely different time frame nowadays. This is the year 2024. You are not going to be able to squash a secret very long. It is the same with his wife being in the hospital and also being in a recuperative state. They've done very well shutting down any type of speculation. However, the information will trickle out because that's the way the world works. Okay? So anyway, that's the timeline. So I need you guys, you need to follow me because I'm going to add this week coming up. Let's see what makes any changes, see if there are any challenges. And then of course, the very next day, the 28th, the prince was out and about, visiting pubs and hanging with children and visiting 94-year-old Holocaust victims, and going to the synagogues. Seems like everything's back in order, right? So that's what was happening this week. So we're going to back up and keep an eye on what in the world just unraveled right before our eyes. We're going to have to wait to see what that translation indicates. All right. So guys, all right, let me do this one more time before I get ready to start wrapping it up here. And I am so excited. I just want you guys to keep these thoughts. All right. So let's see if I missed anyone here. I'm going to, of course, tell you guys once again, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're sitting there snoozing, hit the like button. I would like to say, let's see, the real truth is here in the UK. They can't get over that the Sussexes leave. Yes, thank you. I'm going to say Lily Bell Grant. Thank you so much this morning for joining us. And she said, and they say that they know the Sussexes don't need them and that they need the Sussexes. I'm sorry, I'm tongue-tied, but I totally agree. The royal family actually would have been in a much better position had Harry and Meghan stayed very much associated with them. Because the industry that is Harry and Meghan, it does not require the UK, the country itself, could disappear, right? And there would still be Harry and Meghan Industries. And I know they know this. That's probably why they continue to try to reinforce in our minds that Harry and Meghan need them to make money. There is nothing that the royal family can do to help Harry and Meghan make money. Okay? Harry and Meghan can make money on their own just by showing up. It's amazing. Also, I would like to say hello and thank you for coming in today, Joanne Baker. Oh, she's talking to Ravi. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, you were speaking to someone else. I'm whispering. So, Joanne Baker said that the Crown took liberty with some historical facts and facts overall, nevertheless entertaining. They can't help themselves. Remember, their entire reason to be, their entire method of being here is to try to control all narratives, to constantly try to control the narratives. And you were saying maybe he was feeling under the weather, swaying back and forth, blinking. Yes, we did see him. It looked like that. It really looked weird. And it says perhaps he didn't want to be seen second to Camilla. You know, they have definitely been giving us that possibility that he didn't want to sit next to Prince Andrew, that he didn't want to be there with Camilla. And I'm not saying that's not possible. In other words, I'm not saying that couldn't possibly be his rationale. It's just that it doesn't make a lot of sense unless he thought she wasn't coming. You know what I mean? For example, if he thought if he didn't think Camilla was going to be there, Queen Camilla was going to be there, or if he didn't think Prince Andrew was going to be there, but he found out like an hour before. And I find that interesting a little bit, but for some reason that just doesn't seem like it to me, because I would rather believe that he would be more emboldened to be the number one in their face. That's just the type of person he seems to be to me, but I could be wrong. So yeah, but I have heard what you're talking about. People have speculated that he didn't want to be there because Queen Camilla and Prince Andrew were there. But here's something I would like to throw out to you. And I heard this, of course, because I'm always scouring through other people's YouTube productions. It was mentioned in a YouTube production, and I had no knowledge of this, but I'm definitely going to be looking into it, that the husband that was found dead on Sunday, that he is married to Lady Gabriella. Now, here's the thing that I would like to put these two things together, but I don't know why. It was said in another post that Lady Gabriella actually attended the King of Greece, that Lady Gabriella attended his funeral last year in place of Prince William. Now, I don't know why there's something about me hearing that in this other individual's post, and I'm sure you all are familiar with the post I'm talking about. I don't want to mention their names, although they're huge. But it was mentioned that Lady Gabriella had actually filled in for Prince William last year. Now, this year, her husband dies Sunday. And then during the King of Greece memorial, neither Prince William nor Lady Gabriella made it to this memorial. I do not have any reason for saying, for whatever reason, those two events are sticking out in my mind, but I do not know why, right? And just like most old women talk, we feel something, but we don't really know what it is. But when I understand what I'm sensing, I will definitely share it. But I want you to be aware of that did cross my mind. Prince William couldn't attend because of a personal matter. And Lady Gabriella, who actually sat in for him the year before, well, she didn't attend either. And it is her husband that was killed or suicide. Oh, shush. We're not supposed to say that, are we? But anyway, hopefully nobody will notice. But yeah, so her husband may have committed these issues or these acts. So anyway, let's put that there on in the same thing, in the same thought process. Not sure what that might mean, but I feel like it might mean something. I just don't know what. Really, really bizarre. Really bizarre. All right, let's see who else is in here today. Let me see if I can find someone else. Okay, so we have want to say good morning, okay, to to Margaret Rullen. You guys, please forgive me. Sometimes I keep adding titles and names and saying them wrong. So you guys, please just bear with me here. I'm trying to get this right. And I'm struggling. I'm on the struggle bus. So here's what Margaret Rullen says, if I'm saying that correctly, that he did not want anyone seeing the fresh injury on his face. Oh, yeah, there is that. There is the possibility of that because, boy, I tell you, folks who are checking these photos, don't take a photo if you don't want it to be evaluated to the 10th degree. People are drawing circles around what they perceive to be bruises and things, which would have indicated that he would have been in some kind of physical altercation. Physical alteration. Somebody help me, please. You know what I mean. And lastly, we have, let's see, Joanne Baker. Good morning once again. King Constantine was also Lady Gabriella's godfather as well. Aha, that is correct. Thank you for that. But yes, see, these are the things that some of the folks who are really doing deep dives, they are definitely coming through with information that is solid. Now, the problem that I have is I'm not sure how these pieces fit together yet. But I want you to know that all of these parts and pieces are in my mind. They really are. So here's where we're going to go. We're getting ready to go out now. I'm getting ready to sign off. So I want to go out on a positive note and go back to the money issue, because these folks are always mad about other people's money. These people are always talking about Harry and Meghan's money. So we have to make sure that we emphasize and acknowledge Harry and Meghan are employed. They are working, right? And so you know what? They deserve their money because they earned it. And the same cannot be said for many of these UK tabloid talkheads, because that's all they do. And many of these people in the royal family, because, well, we don't know what your vocation is. So I am really incensed when they make these comments that are anti Harry and Meghan earning a living for themselves. So keep track of the timeline. And then also, my last statement before I run out, I see Joanne Baker added that I found it weird and odd that the Rotor Rats went out of their way to say Will's missing his grandfather's memorial had nothing to do with the death of Mr. Kingston. Factually correct. Why would you talk about a lot of things and then, oh, by the way, his missing doesn't have anything to do with the prior death that had not been announced for 2 days. The issue is this, and we're going to definitely wrap this up. No one thought he had anything to do with Thomas Kingston's death, because here's the thing. When they originally were talking about Thomas Kingston's death, no one even knew who he was in relationship to Prince William. Like, we didn't really put two and two together. I just thought, oh gosh, some other group of duchies, somebody else in a duchy, some other family somewhere lost a family member. That's all I thought. But it wasn't until, in fact, the media specifically stated he had nothing to do with it. That is when, personally, I started looking for connections. So if they hadn't have said anything, I don't think people would have put the two together. But now that they have, people are looking at it. Am I right? All right, folks. So finally, I'm going to let you guys out of here. Thank you all again so much for coming and spending time with me today and here at All for Success. Work on my production and get it a little bit more up to par. Maybe then I'll get 100,000 views. Okay. So, guys, thanks again. Thank you for coming. And always remember to have a great day. Stay focused. All right. Stay positive and keep pushing yourself up. So, we're going to roll out and enjoy the rest of our day. Thanks again for coming to All for Success.